Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, Alan, how are you? Music sounds good. Can you hear me? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. Glad to hear it. Atlam, how was your weekend? Welcome, Little Minx. How you doing? Mike also sounds good. Glad. Yeah, it's turned up now. Hey, Kat. How you doing? Welcome back. Hey, Moore. How was everyone's weekend? Hello. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Mac. I am the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Today's stream is Mapmaker Monday. Every Monday, we host a live map making session for you to watch, learn, ask questions, interact with our community, socialize, network, whatever. But these streams are held AMA format, which means you can ask me any Dungeon Alchemist related questions, ask me anything, and I will do my best to provide real-time assistance. So whether you need guidance in a certain style of map, or maybe you're struggling with exports, or any number of things, please let me know. Maybe you're wondering if a certain feature is in Dungeon Alchemist, you don't know how to use it, etc. Throughout the stream, we'll also be working on this build, which is coming really close to being, it's getting close to being finished, is what I'm saying. Sorry. This build is coming to a close. Last week, I worked on the Kobold's room. This is the owner of the entire establishment. So this is his little, getaway, if it were, as it were. And then down here, we have just a floor below is the tavern, where, people can get a meal or get some food. Get some food or get a drink. And then also there's rooms on this floor, so they can rent a room. There is a communal space here with some hammocks. There is a room here with bunk beds. And then there's a suite, nice big room in the corner here, on the end. Additionally, on this floor is a bath, so people can get cleaned up if they want. And then, of course, lots of seating. Places at the bar, places, against the walls, on the decks, and down below on these patios too. Lots of food and water, or liquid stores, of course, water and alcohol of all kinds. Down this level is the general store, which basically is run during the day. In the evening and night is the tavern, right? Morning and evening and night. So during the day after breakfast or whatever, then it's down to the shop. But the shop here has all sorts of equipment, whether it's, your own alcohol, food for your travels, clothing, whatever. It's kind of a hodgepodge of whatever he could trade with people to get whatever he can get delivered in. So it's kind of just whatever. Let's see here. Working from home, so I can lurk easier than usual. Good weekend. How was mine? Mine was great. Thank you for asking. I got a lot of work in on some garden boxes, some raised garden beds that I've been building for Mrs. Mac. Let's see here. And I'll talk more about those. I just want to catch up with the chat here. Busy in the process of packing to move. So much stuff to... Oh, man. Dude, I feel like every year I go through and downsize my life, and it's still not enough. I'll go through and like clean out closets and shelves and, you know, just look for things that are like, I haven't seen this in years. I don't even know what it's for. Oh, this is ripped. This is bad. I can't fix this. Let's throw it away, right? Or, you know, sell it or give it away or whatever. Once a year, our neighborhood does yard sales as a community. So if we get in on that, sometimes we'll sell some stuff. But, let's see here. Atlam says, my weekend was relaxing, thank you, but warmer than I'd like. Summer is sadly waiting in the corner. Tell me about it. I actually had a really interesting day yesterday because it was like overcast and it felt like it was going to rain all day. And then I just took advantage of it because it was nice and cool. It was really shady. So I just busted out like a ton of, you know, I made the last garden bed in like 2.5, 3 hours, just solo built it. Made all the cuts. And then, you know, built the thing, just busted it all out, drilled all the holes, assembled everything. Honestly, I think it was just because I'd gotten a rhythm of how everything was supposed to work and which tools needed to be used. Let's see here. Let's see. Goob Day. How you doing, Anani? I hope you had a good weekend. Let's see here. Over on TikTok, we got Godly Name and Magda. Hope you all both had a good weekend and welcome to the stream. My name is Mac. Nice to meet you. Let's see. Moore says, I actually had a thought pop into my head last night, so this was perfect timing. It may already be a thing, but I'm able to export as a green screen instead of terrain just as an export option. We can build on green screen, but I'm able to build on normal terrain. Yeah, you can, Moore. So any like at any time, you can change your biome to another biome. So what I would do is build your map in a normal biome, right? Build your map, save it, and then file, save at, like once it's saved as the like primary map, right? And built out the way you want it, do a save as to split the map into a new one. And once you've done so, you can go into the terrain, you know, tab in the left menu here, and then up in the top tabs here, go to change terrain type, right? Once you've done that, you could change your terrain from any biome to any other biome. But if you go from Badlands to like green screen, just be wary. Any objects usually outside of the room will be destroyed, like deleted in the process. So essentially, once you've done that more, you just have a save as version that you split off into a new biome. Yeah, I'm just going to change it really quick. See this? Actually, it keeps the objects now. Good to know. So essentially, you have a version that's a green screen version if you want to file. Oh my gosh, I look like Radioactive Man. That you could do this way. By the way, I'm just going to Control Z to undo that. It might take a minute. Thank you, Anani. I'm glad you like it. I finished the last garden bed last night. Now I need to go through and add proper drainage that they're all built. I'm going to go drill out a bunch of holes, like in a grid, like Swiss cheese. And then, well, organized Swiss cheese. And then after I've done that, shoot. Interesting that that's visible. After that, I'm going to run a bed liner in it, like a kind of like, you know, like you would put in a garden bed to stop weeds or whatever. And I'm going to staple that into the bed. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to burn the bed. I have a torch that I got that's like for burning weeds, and I'm going to do that like Japanese burning method where they burn the wood to help protect it. It essentially seals it, and it keeps pests out, and like protects it from rotting and a whole bunch of stuff. More, how did the game go for you the other day? I couldn't stay long. I just watched for a little bit. So I think today on stream, my focus will be to continue adding like kind of roads to go through the entire map like a path, right? And then I also want to add campsites over here and like an area to park wagons over here. This exterior outhouse, I was going to leave, and it's like, if you're not a patron of the establishment, you can't use the upstairs restroom inside, which is nice. Speaking of which, I got to run some like pipes or something down. I don't know. Magic. We'll just say it's magic. Anyway, so if you know, pay for stabling or whatever, a campsite, then yeah, you can use the indoor restroom. Of course, more, of course. I can see chat just fine, but I'm logged in watching it, so no worries. Oh, more. I'm sorry. That's a bummer. Okay, so just want to do a last check on this, like, bedroom, make sure there's nothing else I want to add aside from lighting. I'm going to go do sweeping lighting across the whole map, kind of in one pass. Oh, dang, Anani. Nice. Jack, I just saw your message mixed in there. How you doing, buddy? Welcome back. Well, good luck to you, Moore. I hope you win, my friend. Insurance mascots. So what? You have like a gecko and like a caveman. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I really think the tavern looks really good. Alrighty, but yeah, there's a couple of windows. I guess I could add like one. No, we got a few windows. Plenty of windows. More than enough. Okay. Yeah, I like what we did out there, but now I want to make this like more like a path. So let's use the stone. And I was using this one to make it seem like it's more worn down, like trodden. And then I was going to mix in some little patches there. On the it's coming up. My next D&D session is on the 3rd. Is that what you're asking? Do you have Flow from Progressive? Jack, are you like, dang. So are you going through recovery of some sort? Man, it's crazy how so many insurance companies have mascots. When I was growing up, it was cereal that had mascots, right? Well, and like sports teams, I guess. Sports teams were like the original mascots. But then it was like cereal got mascots, right? I have to clear out some of these bushes and stuff. I'll do that in a bit. Interesting. Interesting more. Jack, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. That's rough. Oh man. Be sure to, oh my goodness, what just happened there? No. I guess I'll just... Why is this happening? Great. Yeah, I gotta just reload. Why is this happening? I might need to reload DA. Right? Yeah, I'm gonna close DA and reload it. Hopefully this map isn't bugged out. If I can't edit the terrain at all, that's gonna be a trouble. They said it couldn't be done, but then on stream, my circle made a square. And circle gets the square, they say, right? Hey, Guafa, welcome back. How you been? I have been wonderful. Thank you for asking. I just restarted DA because it's acting funky. It is acting funky. Let's see here. Okay, thank goodness. I don't know what that was, but I am glad it's over. Your dungeon alchemist was Guafa? I'm sorry to hear that. One thing to do always, like first thing I check anytime my DA is lagging. Couple pro tips, right? If you happen to be subscribed to numerous assets on the workshop, right? Assets vary in quality and size, right? Like this rug, 18 megabytes. This animated rat, 2.5 megabytes. This arcane sigil, 0.13 megabytes. So some of them are ridiculously oversized and kind of essentially put a lot of burden on... Well, think of them all like mods, right? When you mod a game, a lot of mods being active on a game start making it act funky, right? So all of these assets preload into your RAM and load first before Dungeon Alchemist can load, whether it's loading the first time or any map. So essentially, they can cause bottlenecks if your computer has, say limited amount of RAM and you have, say, 30 gigs of assets downloaded. So one thing I could recommend is in Steam. Oh, here's our, let's go to the community hub here. You know what? I'll just show you in Steam. It's probably a little bit easier, huh? Stand by. So if you go to your library in Steam, you find Dungeon Alchemist, right? Go to where it says Workshop. So library, Dungeon Alchemist. Once our page is loaded, Workshop, right? Now you see the workshop, you see, you know, popular items and maps, but over here you'll see your workshop files, your icon on Steam, your like profile icon. If you click your files and go to subscribed items, it'll show a list of everything you're subscribed to, right? You could sort it by map or asset. So what I'm going to do is sort it by asset. But I have 16 pages of assets. Some people have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages, right? So essentially, if you oversubscribe and don't have enough RAM or GPU, like to process loading them all before a map loads, then it'll bottleneck and cause it. You're going to need to unsubscribe from them. Let me show you a trick to this, okay? So when you're in there, Guafa, now that you've sorted it, you could see over on the side it says unsubscribed from all, okay? This will clear it out entirely. That, or you could go through one at a time and just click unsubscribe. You could also do this in Dungeon Alchemist, but it's much slower. You have to go to each asset, load them, and then there's a little unsubscribe icon, like a trash can or something. But yeah, dude, and some of those entries could easily be hundreds of megabytes. I've seen assets on the workshop that are like 500 megabytes. The average Dungeon Alchemist map with stock assets is like 5 megabytes or less. So you do the math. If you have those assets in a map or just in your storage of assets to use later, they will cause performance issues. And we've tried to optimize it as best we can, but we can only optimize it so much around, you know, assets that aren't optimized. Does that make sense? So if you've noticed your Dungeon Alchemist performance, the other thing too, if you star any of them, I think it automatically downloads them again for you. So keep in mind, any of them that you've starred will automatically re-download. Any that you've uploaded will automatically re-download. One way to keep track of assets that you like, I mean, anytime you open a map from the workshop or one of your maps, if it has assets in it that it's required to load, it'll prompt it and tell you to download it. So it's probably best to just clear out your asset collection every once in a while to improve performance, unless, of course, you're on like a very strict internet plan with limited data that would charge you out the nose to download stuff again. But yeah, I think of every asset on the workshop as an individual mod because that's what they are. They're third-party mods added into Dungeon Alchemist. And some of them are way heavily optimized and really, you know, work really well, and others not so much. Some are just sourced right from the internet and then uploaded into the workshop, whereas others are made with care, you know, decimated, you know, custom meshes made to like make them as small as possible. So yeah, every once in a while, like I go through probably every 2 weeks and unsubscribe from all through that workshop setup. I probably should make a video about this, huh? But basically, go to Steam, find Dungeon Alchemist, click Workshop. This is for everyone watching. Click, you'll see over here, it says your workshop files. It'll show your icon. If it doesn't, click refresh. I've seen it not show sometimes. Usually refreshing fixes it. If you go to your files, then click subscribed items, right? You possibly could even just save this and then go to it later through like a browser. So it's a lot quicker to go there directly, right? If you click that, it copies it. I'm actually signed into Steam through my browser. So here, let me load it. Goes right to it. So I probably should favorite this actually. Done. So now it can go there really quickly, and then I can just click unsubscribe from all. Alternatively, you could literally save all of them to a collection, right? Or you can create collections. That's another way to back up assets you like. So maybe there's a whole bunch of assets you really love, and you don't necessarily want to go search for them again. You can put them into a collection, right? And when you make a collection, those assets can be downloaded again as a single group. And you can make a collection of any assets or maps on the workshop in combination. Let's go back to that. All right, I think it was here. Trying to remember how to create a collection. Browse collections. Once you're looking at collections, then you can create a collection. Or in that sub menu, you could, or in the like where it shows all the assets, you could create a collection as well. Anyway, Guafa, I hope that helps you out. If that doesn't help, the other thing to check, we'll go right back into Steam again. You go to your library, right click on Dungeon Alchemist, right? And go to Properties. If you go to Installed Files, right? You can click Verify Integrity of Game Files. What this does is it'll go through and look for any files that might be deleted, corrupt, etc. And will repair them, replace them. So this here is another great way to look. If Dungeon Alchemist like keeps crashing or won't load, this helps a lot. So you go to Properties, right click on DA, go to Properties, Installed Files. Hey Fox, welcome back. How you doing? Sorry, we were mid support. And then you click Verify Integrity. By the way, Guafa, you can always drop in the stream if you're having problems with DA, or you can come into our Discord or ping us in Steam or on social media. We're here to help. If you're struggling or getting frustrated with DA, that's not the experience we want any of you to have. So come find us and we'll help you out. That's the whole point of these streams, really, is to give our community a place to come in and, you know, get support and learn about the program. Because there's a lot of little aspects of things that are like, you can't know everything and learn everything. Hey, Imperator Morsis, welcome back. I'm really sorry that life kicked you sideways, but I'm glad you're getting back on your feet. Hope all is well for you, at least in the interim. And so nice to have you on. Where were we? What was I working on? Guatha, is your little icon, is that a Chikorita? I was trying to remember the Pokemon name. Okay. So hear me out. I played a lot of Pokemon Go, right? And I used to stream it. And I used to live stream it and play it and, you know, anyway, years ago on a live stream at a park in Vegas, I caught a shiny Chikorita and it just looked like it's yellow. It looks like a little banana. So I nicknamed it Chiquitarita. Cause like the banana company. I'm actually so mad that I played Pokemon Go now because I found out they were like just harvesting our data and like getting us to like map out entire environments for them. So it's frustrating. Also, a lot of things that they used to do that were like free, like basic stuff that they would give away, they started charging for, and it became just such a chore to play. But yes, and then they sold it to like some company in Saudi. But anyway, they were like mapping your homes, mapping entire like malls and cities, areas they wanted you to take a picture of. They'd be going in, you'd be going in taking pictures of it, and then they'd use it as mapping data and like, what is it called where they take pictures and are 3D mapping stuff? So essentially, they sell all that data to third parties. Especially like they have maps of your homes and parks and things that like Google couldn't get before, you know? But yes, I'm hearing a pigeon. 1 second. I feel like it's nesting on my AC unit. Give me 1 second. Clever, but also like, yeah, like James Bond level deceptive, right? I'm trying to get a path through here, right? We're gonna have like a road kind of going through this whole area and then out the other side. That's where it'll go through. I'm just kind of smoothing out a path and then we'll clear out some of the flora. Oh, I mean, here's the thing. I feel like part of the reason all these companies a few years ago started locking all their data behind like logging in or like restricting it from like crawlers and bots. Like it used to be like you could just search something on Google and you could find posts on social media all over without signing in, and a bunch of websites without signing in or enabling cookies. All of them do this now, it feels like, so they can like harvest your data and sell it and train their AIs. Drives me crazy. I mean, our phones definitely listen to us. I'll be talking with my wife about something I'm interested in, and then all of a sudden, I haven't searched it on my computer or my phone. I'm getting ads for it. Hey, Lynn Carn, how you doing? Welcome back. Hey, thank you for the roses. How's things? Just smoothing this out a little bit. I'm gonna put some like wood framing here and maybe a dock or something. Just need to, oop, nope, too smooth. Let's flatten again. We're gonna kind of carve into this so we have a path. Like a little edge here. So I feel like the modern way to like get your website seen and your product seen is to SEO around AI crawlers instead of like regular SEO. I'm good, Lynn Carn. Welcome back. How are you? How's things going in your neck of the woods? Oh, a donut. Thank you. Oh, that sounds delicious. Donut. User of the mind, the terrain with the most paints is grasslands at the moment. It has the most diverse, I feel like. Because it has like sand and grasses and rocks and all that. One thing though, to break up the monotony, if it's bothering you, you don't have to just use terrain paints. Sprinkle in like some spatterings of rocks and other things. And by that, I mean even little patches of them. So if you go to objects, nature, rocks, there's tons of rocks, right? And I like to grab some like pebbles. Let's find the red rock ones and like kind of just drop them in here and there. You can size them up and it really does help break up the monotony. In addition to that, you can go back in and grab one of the other terrain paints, right? And then make it a very subtle brush and just kind of, now that's a little bit too much strength there. Kind of mix in a little bit here and there. Does that make sense? Alternatively, a really small brush with a strong strength can make like a track. Alchemist is goated. Nice. Thanks, Lynn Karn. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. Glad to hear it. So I will say this, user of the mind, our biomes, basically, the terrain paints are kind of restricted to particular biomes. We did that because the terrain paint system tends to get bogged down and laggy the more terrains we add to it, and we need to have a certain set of minimum liquid paints, you know, to make it viable mixed in with a certain set of terrains. So we opted to kind of keep it to a minimal. I think grasslands was the first biome, so it tends to have a few more as a result. What kind of map did you make today, Lincarn? Cool. Well, that's what I'm here for. Pick me brain. But I'll like feather in like little bits like this, like a little drag. The brush strength and size is important when you do this. Because if it's too strong, it'll overpower. And I will tell you this, some terrain paints are more, let's just say, prominent than others. Some have like cracks and breaks in them, so others will shine through underneath. I will say this, our devs are looking to increase our terrain paint system, hopefully in the near future. I don't know if they'll be addressing it in like, you know, the next 2 updates or so, but it's something on their mind. They want to improve it. That's really cool, Morsis. I've heard of stuff like that. Isn't it like called like ClickHole or something like that? It's designed to like get rid of ads on your system and stuff like that. You can, Guafa. You totally can. I'm going to save this map twice. So one thing a lot of people forget when they're using the snow biome, right, is the snow biome is it has weather and it has terrain. Okay, you can put snow weather on any biome, right? I could put snow on this one. Snow will go on top of anything when you add it. So I could go into the terrain tab and put snow in any biome. When you generate a snow environment and you have snow weather on, snow will be on top of everything no matter what. Okay. But if you are in, say, the snow biome and you want to paint with snow, let me show you a mistake that people often make. User of the mind, yeah, it's crazy to kind of underestimate how much effort and time a DM puts into stuff. Like our campaign, we have a paid DM, right? He's actually a professional DM, and he's worth every penny. Like, I honestly feel bad for DMs that, like, don't even get, like, food or snacks or, like, maybe occasional gift or a hookup. Like every DM I've had, I've sent them like gift cards, usually like as a thank you, or I'll pay them because like, I mean, they're putting in so much time to prep. Like they're the referee, right? The storyteller. Okay. They essentially set up in like the lore keeper of the entire world, the producer of the game. So looking at this map, Guafa, notice there's snow on top of like the rocks and top of the trees, because this is snow weather on top of the snow biome, right? I'm going to turn off the weather. Now we just have snow on the ground and it's not on top of the rocks. It's like it's melted a bit. But if you look in the terrain paints, you could very easily mix and match snow and dry areas. You can have paths carved through it. So you just need to disable the weather aspect. Once that's turned off, you can do that in generation of the map or after it's generated. Mad respect to DMs. Mad respect to DMs. Content creators in general. I just think DMs are like a very interesting group of content creators because you essentially, like I said, it's like a polymath of content creation all in one. So as you can see here, Guafa, we definitely can mix and match terrain even in the snow biome if you want to. You could have this whole map be green with just little patches of snow. Alternatively, you could generate a forest map, like essentially by doing this and then remove. I mean, every DM is a content creator. You are weaving a world through storytelling, lore keeping, improvisation. Storytelling is content. It's like the original content creation. Like, think about it. Like, I would imagine like storytelling and basic like rhythm and like music, like tapping things and like cave drawing was like the original content creation. Oh, and then like making flint and like tools, crafting with your hands. I appreciate it. And you're new here, users of the mind, so you don't know. But yeah, Dungeon Alchemist is a family-friendly community. So we try to cater our content on streams and in the Discord the same way. Because there are members of our community as young as like 5 using Dungeon Alchemist to make maps and learn how to DM because their parents are like, teaching them about DMing and Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, and not calling you out, just more like educating. You know what I mean? You are definitely not in trouble. We are all allowed a gimme. Honestly, me too. It was hard for me to do it because my parents were super religious and controlling, so I didn't get to play as much as I wanted to. Let's get back to my map, though. Anyone have any other questions, by the way? Oh man, storytelling. I don't know why like reading and like storytelling has kind of dropped off, right? My favorite day of the week was when we'd go like sit down on the in the library on the Kiva. They had like a kind of like a little amphitheater seating for little kids. And then someone would read us a book. Oh man, that was dope. I love that. I still love reading. I love audiobooks. I love like all forms of reading. Loving taco or laughing taco. Love it. Man, you're making me hungry, Lynn Karn. Darn it. So hungry. Got to think of what to eat after this. What sounds delicioso? Wonder if we have stuff for breakfast burritos. But my son, he's into D&D. I mean, he's a bit older, obviously. We didn't actually get into it as a family until like the pandemic. I tried to get into it, like I'd had friends that would play and I'd be like, hey, if you're ever looking for an extra person, let me know. And then they'd just kind of forget I exist come time to invite people. And then I joined a game kind of in the pandemic that like someone was advertising on Reddit. And was with that group for a while, and then kind of it petered out. And then I joined another group when I started my map making. I shared a map on Reddit, and a DM was like, wow, this is so cool. And we started talking. He's like asking me about my map making, and he essentially wanted me to make maps for him and be part of the campaign. And I was like, cool. So I started making maps for him, and I was part of the campaign. I played with them for like a few months. And then my wife joined the campaign and we played together for like a month with them. And then, like one day we couldn't join the Discord anymore. And the DM wrote me this like mile-long message about, like, in corporate speak, about how we weren't a good fit for the campaign and he hopes it was amicable or something. I was like, what? It was really awkward to read something like that, because it just kind of came out of left field. We don't know what we did. We never really got full resolution on that. Played a game, and then the next game we weren't there. Is there a sand texture? Yeah. Oh, for sure. The way I look at this is this road might have been slowly worn down or paved over time. And I'm going to just kind of have some mild wear. And I was thinking of having some greenery around the oasis, like it pops up here primarily. So Lincoln, depending on the terrain you're in, the biome, they have different textures, right? So if you're in the forest biome, it has different textures than, say, the Badlands or desert biomes. Does that make sense? Joshua trees. Interesting. Yeah, that's a good idea. How you doing, Asmodeus? Welcome, buddy. You been lurking? Asmodeus silently stalks his prey. Asmodeus is just secretly waiting for his chance to ban someone. Oh, what is that, a cat? Oh, thank you, Lincarn. I appreciate it. Clear out these objects here. We're going to make this like a campground area. Trying to, like, I want to keep some of these mesa things and work around them, but some areas need to be flattened out. So I'm just kind of thinking ahead. Do you ever just look at your map and be like, well, I want to do this, but I got to do this kind of thing? Make an assessment. Do you love me? Let's see here. Hey, thank you, Lincarn. Appreciate it. Okay, let's add a little bit more of this stuff. Wonder if I can get a good combination with just a less powerful brush version of this. Whoa. Camera just wigged out. Yes, old Greg. I'm old Greg. I wish we could make our brush smaller. Okay. The road at least is kind of like, and the areas that are trodden over here for the campgrounds. These look moderately cleared and ready to go. Help me determine what kind of plant life I should put by the oasis. I was thinking like a palm tree. Oh, Guafa, it is just your day today. I've got so many good answers for you to help you. Because, like... Nice. Oh, by the way, I just saw your other message about the multiple level map. How was the rebuild? How did it go? Is it on the workshop? Maybe we could take a look real quick. So our devs are actively working on a shipbuilder right now, our art team and dev team. There's a few things that need to come together for it to work perfectly. But they are building assets for modular shipbuilding. Okay. Let's see how. I can't show a whole lot, but I have been authorized to show a few things. So essentially, you'll be able to make these modular ships that are portions, kind of like how they build ships, big ships in shipyards. They're like modular portions that assemble together. And they'll be, you know, all sorts of different parts and pieces to make cool custom ships. And then these ships will interlock, right? And the hope is that you'll be able to group them together as a grouping of objects and move them as a unit. So, user of the mind, you can place tokens down. There's a little chess icon, a little pawn icon in the left menu, on the left toolbar there. And if you click that, you can place a token on the ground. There's a few that come for free with Dungeon Alchemist, and every update we add a few more. So you can just add like environmental NPCs, but as an added bonus, they have a first person, there's an eyeball on them when you click on them. And if you click the icon, you can then go into first person mode and walk around like you would in a video game. WASD, space bar to jump, shift for, you know, extra speed, mouse to look around. First person can be obtained that way. There's also the drone camera, which is this right here. If you click this camera, the cinematic mode camera, you can fly around in a kind of a drone mode. There's many people in our community who run Dungeon Alchemist games in Dungeon Alchemist. They'll either do it in person with like a TV or a projector tabletop, so like a digital tabletop surface, or alternatively, I've seen DMs that just have the view of Dungeon Alchemist streaming to their players over like Discord, and then they'll use it as like a theater of the mind set piece. Or they'll activate the grid on the map and have their players navigate through the map. They'll just have their players say where they want to go and they move their token. Minecraft maps would be pretty cool, but, you know, I definitely think that's where we have our niche, is the fantasy map builder. You know what I mean? And I kind of see Dungeon Alchemist as like Sims or Minecraft a little bit, but with a specific purpose. You could still build in it all day and have fun. What's up, Lincarn? Let's show you some other ship stuff while we can. So here's a gun port section. Nice, user of the mind. Do you play online or do you use like a digital surface? Hey, Shy Flames. Welcome back. How have you been? Oh, Paper Crane. That one's cool. I haven't seen that one before, Lincarn. This image here is kind of like a completed ship. Or like, and they all can be made modularly into different designs. There'll be different ornaments, you know, different colors, so you can do like different liveries. I believe there's a burnt ship that I've seen, like all sorts of different stuff. Notice this one doesn't even have gun ports. It has like one gun port. So you could put gun ports or access ports on the top for like goods. And I believe they're going to have an option to build submarines, airships, and possibly astral ships in the future. Essentially, this first ship builder, we're hoping to launch it either with Fun with Objects Part 2, so our community can start play testing it and learning it, right? So we can get it perfect in the high seas, refine it with more objects and improvements, you know what I mean? One thing I hope that they implement with this when they roll it out is that there'll be the ability to... Yeah, you'll be able to put them in water, of course. But right now it's in a very, very alpha state, right? So you don't see it in water in the build menu that we have it. It's just them playing around with it in those videos. But yes, you'll be able to put them in water. Why wouldn't we allow you to put them in water? I'm gonna add a few more things here. Maybe a lily. A lily pad. Water lily. You put a frog on it. The hope is that you'll be able to save the groupings and copy and paste them between maps, or even share the variant of objects you group together for your ship. So it could be put on the workshop, or you can save it as like a variant and stamp it on different maps. So essentially you can make a new map and move it to that map. Because why would you have a ship that just sits in one map only? You would move it from map to map. So user of the mind, remember, you can adjust your build angle. Top down is the static angle, but if you press P or click this, you can adjust, right? And work at a separate angle. So if you're using a bridge, for instance, I will say this, bridges have a weird kind of property to them that if collisions are on, bridges will add terrain automatically to the environment. You see how it's kind of making a little area? But if collisions are off, bridges do not do that. So you could take any bridge. Hey, see you later, Lincarn. Thanks again for all the love today. Appreciate you. Hope to see you back soon. Those assets were just being placed in the white parchment biome, which is also a new biome being added in the next update. But notice when I have collisions off, the bridges no longer have that terrain thing like they do now, that little terrain bubble on each side. The terrain tools are all about practice. I'll be honest with you. They definitely could use a little improvement or more options. Like the brush, we could have shapes like square instead of just circular. It would also be awesome if we could do like a pinpoint instead of just like a small circle. In addition to that, more terrain options. Smoothing, though, between flattening to room height, lowering and raising, and smoothing, you can do a lot. It's actually quite easy to get almost everything you need. And notice how this path, it kind of slowly eases up into one area, and it is quite rough at the moment. I'm going to smooth it out and make it feel like a road that's been paved or kind of traveled a lot. So the smoothing brush or the flat brush is great for that because it makes the path feel kind of smooth over a long period of time, right? I like to get low to the terrain, use the terrain brushes to my advantage while I'm looking at it. I think, yeah, practice is definitely, I mean, there's some aspects of Dungeon Alchemist that are just like click and play, you know, like generating rooms. The terrain, once you want to get like more advanced, it takes some time. It takes some time to get used to the feel of how it functions and what it does, right? But make sure you're at the right angle when you're looking at it and you'll be able to see everything. If you're in just top down, you're going to miss some things. The flattened terrain brush is my favorite. What I usually do is I'll put it over an area that I want it to be set flat to for the entire area, and then I'll pull from that. So does that make sense? It kind of flattens the entire area to that first flattened area. The flattened terrain brush will find the largest grouping of flat pixels in the area and flatten it to that. Flatten to terrain to room height will flatten to the base room height. Unless, of course, let's say you went into another room, right, like this one, and started pulling from that, it'll pull the terrain up to that height. Well, at least to the highest point it can go. So let's say you had a room over here that was a little bit higher. You could flatten the terrain to that room instead. It's very intuitive in that regard. So one thing you can do is undo if you don't like where the building's at. Control Z after you've generated it will go back to the floor plan, and then you can move the floor plan. Remember, the floor plan can be raised, lowered, rotated, reshaped, made circular, made angled. You can remove portions of it, add portions to it, all before generating it. You can move it around the map, etc. But yeah, in the future, we do plan to add the ability to move structures after they've been generated. But that's just an early access quirk for right now, I'd imagine. But like when you're generating a structure, right, you can rotate it. You can raise or lower it. Before you click that check mark, you can do a lot of stuff. And you can use the undo and redo key, Control Y or Control Z or Command Y, Command Z if you're on Mac. You've got these icons here, right? In the corner, the little pins. If you pull outward, it does a bite, like a convex or concave shaping. So you can do a rounded edge or a rounded bite. Alternatively, if you pull to this edge and then slide along it, it makes a diagonal cut. It's probably because it's too close to something else, or you're in a biome that won't allow it. So like if you're in the dark parchment biome or the green screen biome, you can't really manipulate the height of a building unless you're building on top of another building. You need to be in a terrain-based biome to be able to do this. But like if I try to move this closer to this other building, it's telling me I can't do this, right? Because it's like, oh, that building's there. So if it's within a certain range of another building, it may have trouble. I think it's like within a square. Or if it's in a non-terrain biome. So if you happen to be in the dark parchment biome, which essentially just looks like this the whole time, then you cannot build downward, or you can only build upward if there's something to build upon, like another floor. to flatten this out a little bit. I think it's coming along, but I want this area around this to feel flat. Or like, yes. We'll just do some peppering. We'll re-mesa that. Because I kind of ruined them when I was flattening out this area. I like mesas, they're fun. And then it's like a nice natural barrier between the campsites and the roads. Oops. What did I do? Must have hit one of the hotkeys. So you said you just barely got Dungeon Alchemist? So you likely exported the map way too large then for Foundry if it's lagging in Foundry. Can you tell me what export settings you used? If you go to File, Export for the map. So when you export for like Foundry, a virtual tabletop, there's a lot of considerations to take into account. What looks great on your computer for a localized view is not the same for an online view for multiple users to access simultaneously inside of a tool that is essentially linking all of those people together in a multiplayer space, all accessing the same file simultaneously. There's limitations of Foundry, both in file size and resolution limits. So when you're playing online, most virtual tabletops recommend exporting your maps between, or having maps and images or video that is between 60 and about 100 DPI. Dungeon Alchemist has a base export level, and I hate that it says low quality. This should just say VTT quality, to be honest with you, because most VTTs, if you export above, say 72 DPI, and your map is, say, 100 by 100, it would most likely surpass the resolution limits that some VTTs have. Or there's other things to take into account. The players may have potato internet, like that's a hamster-driven internet, right? That's rural or has, you know, data limits, etc. Or they may have a computer that's not that powerful or ancient. Maybe they're on a laptop that's just not super great. So you need to optimize around the weakest link in the chain and the recommendations of the tool. So lower DPI means smaller file size. If you compare 72 DPI to 300 DPI, the difference in file size is about 5 to 6 times smaller with a 72 DPI export. And if you're exporting a video, right? WebM, low quality, ideal at 72 DPI, usually works great up to about an 80 by 80 map. Any higher than that, you're gonna probably wanna go with just still images. I also, whenever I do an animated export, I'll usually do a backup of an image just to create a backup scene in Foundry or whatever virtual tabletop. That way, if one of the players can't load it, we load into the stock like image. So some things to take into account. You probably can get up to the high HQ quality, 150 DPI in lower size maps like 40 by 40. I'd say 60 by 60 or less. But that very high quality, I really think this just needs to be changed to say print quality. This should be VTT standard. This should be tabletop standard, like TV tabletop, and this should be print quality. It should be changed. This is a misnomer and it's misguiding because you see low quality, you're like, ugh, garbage. I don't want my players to be on a garbage map. I don't want it to be low quality. And you're like, well, it's free to upgrade to very high quality, so why not? It isn't free. It taxes you because the file size jumps up exponentially and the resolution jumps up exponentially. I beg the devs to change this wording time and time again because I deal with this week after week after week after week. Confused disappointed DMs who have ran into a map that loads blank or won't load for some of their players because of this. Exactly. Your base impression is it'll be garbage, but that isn't the case. It actually is perfectly fine for online play, and it's ideal based on the recommendations of Foundry, Roll20. Roll20 says like 60 DPI. I think Foundry says 90 DPI is where they recommend the sweet spot. 72 DPI is perfectly fine. I sorry for the soapbox. As a community manager, I deal with this a lot from people in the streams and social media. The devs, not so much. And every time I pass it on to them and let them know, but it's like, I do think we need to update that verbiage to be like, that, or remove 300 DPI from, say, the Foundry export. But yeah, we have people in our community who make maps and sell them. They typically usually only go up to like 150 DPI because most DMs, depending on their system, like Roll20 has file limits, right? File size limits. So 72 DPI, absolutely requirement. Foundry also has resolution limits, and there's like a max upload file size. And then, like I said, if your players have trouble loading it, if you're running it from a local server and you have players all over the world, there's bound to be a bottlenecking issue or someone that has a weak link in the chain, right? Oh, that's what we're all about here. I try to foster a really like helpful community that is like super, inviting, and likes to provide guidance and resourceful and helpful. We have, not only these streams, but we have our Discord, we have our social media that are great resources. Myself, the moderators, other, very active community members love to help. A great resource as well is our wiki, which is a 24-hour resource. So if you're worried about that in the long run, if most of the play is done on a map or like on a virtual tabletop for yourself or your friends that you're making maps for, export twice, 72 DPI and 150 DPI. Give them both to the DM and say, hey, the larger one will be a little bit better quality, but it may not load in most instances. You have a 72 DPI as your main or a backup for the maps, but just based on the size of the map, like if it's over 50 by 50, I usually just stick to 72 DPI because that'll keep your file size small, your load time short, your players will likely be able to load them without issue. A lot of people will export our maps at like 72 DPI and then use like a program to reduce the file size because you can compress files and still not lose that much image quality. Like you can compress it down to like a half or a third and still, so the file is exponentially smaller than our export, but still 72 DPI. No worries, and it's kind of our fault. I feel like it is our fault that this happens. The way this is designed is an oversight by the devs. I personally don't think it should say low, high, very high. Like I said, VTT standard, VTT HQ, print quality, That's what it should be. Anyway, I hope that helps tremendously. But yeah, like I want this community to be a place where everyone feels welcome and invited and, not like I want people to feel safe and, just essentially fostering a community of welcomeness and, just positivity. VTT HD print would be a great name. Yeah, I do think the naming convention should be changed. Here, let's ask the chat as a whole. I want to gather, I wish I could do a poll in Twitch, but I can't because I'm not, whatever. We're not partnered or affiliated and we never will be because we don't want to have ads on our channel. So That, and we don't really need, donations or subs or anything like that to run this channel. We, have our Kickstarter, and then also we sell Dungeon Alchemist. That's whatever. Hey, is it Powolpeta? Powolpeta? I hope I said your name correctly. I hope I didn't butcher it. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow. Rev, have you checked in the hellscape, the skeletal plains biome? You can actually shift the terrain to look more fleshy. Here. I did not get much work done today. Been just hanging out, love vibing with the community and providing support during the stream. I'd rather provide support all stream than build if I could. Let's see here. Okay, so community, really quickly. Do you find the export naming convention to be good as is? Do you find it to be confusing or misleading? And would like it to be changed? So do you think it's okay as is, or do you think it needs to be changed? I would love to get feedback from all members in chats on any feed right now. Oh, the skeleton biome has come with flesh options for a while, actually. So if you go to new map and you go to the skeletal plains, right? I'm going to just generate it as flat. Did I generate this with a lake? I must have. Yep, I did. Just blood ocean here. Oh, why am I... Let's do a lava flow. Okay, and Dyson, you've been with our community for a long time. So yeah, I mean, higher DPI can work in many cases, especially if the map is small, but you're increasing your load times and chances of failure on a virtual tabletop, right? So I've generated a skeletal plains flat, right? Pretty boring. I guess we could change it to hills. Geez, that is super flat. Okay, so the consensus from community here is that you find, especially as a new user, you find it very confusing, the different export options for DPI, because by default, I mean, I think most people, DMs, want the best for their players and see low, high, very high. They're going to go, oh, I want very high. But then that puts you into that situation. Okay, so going into the terrain options, right? If you go to the paints, you have all sorts of really gross kind of hellscape environments. This is like a tryptophobic kind of flesh pod nodule, like egg sac. I don't even know what you could call it, really. It's gross. Let's just call it gross. There's also this like kind of grossish, fleshy red environment. So this is a great way to do like an alien, environment, or maybe the inside of a large creature, or yeah, like a flesh kind of ground. But this is definitely probably the best option for now. Kind of a mixture of these three paints. But yeah, I definitely agree. We need more. What do you think, though, Rev? Do you think this might work well enough for you for now? I do recommend a suggestion like that make it to our feature base, our suggestion board and roadmap. For those that aren't aware, those that are new here, Atlam, can you share the link for that? And also, if you could just gather just basic feedback, just quotes from people, what they've said, who said it and what they said in our DM chat, Atlam. That way I can, even just screenshots of it's fine. That way I can pass it on to the devs, because I feel like it's important that they know this. Rev, I think that's a very important suggestion. All suggestions are important, but one like that, definitely, you need community votes on it and stuff like that. We need more hellscape environments, fleshy environments. You know what I mean? Maybe even like a belly of the beast biome, so it's like inside of something or designed to feel more alien. I'm sure you've seen my belly of the beast map, but I'll show it for others. I use that biome, this biome in particularly. This is a combination of that skeletal plains biome and some good lighting. And essentially I just raised it all up into a cave, right? And then carved it out. And this is meant to be like the digestive tract of a large beast. So you have like the esophagus, getting swallowed into the stomach. There's all sorts of creatures that have been dissolved in here. And then, your intestines, small, large intestines, and of course. Yeah, definitely. It's a good example of how to make a map like this. I'm sure eventually your players will either have to rescue someone eaten by a large creature or be eaten by a large creature, right? So this is a perfect map for that. If anyone's interested, it's labeled as Belly of the Beast on the Steam Workshop. So you can just go to the Steam Workshop tab through Dungeon Alchemist, click Browse Maps, type Belly of the Beast. Belly should just do it. Probably not many named Belly. But, by the way, while we're on this subject, if you're not aware, user of the mind, the Steam Workshop is I know you found some assets, but the maps on there also a great resource. There's over 14,000 maps. Yes, Guapa, what's the name of it? Let's search it up. Sorry, I got a little distracted. It was something about ice, right? Or snow? What's it called? My apologies there. Stone Cold. Ooh. Look at that. Let's take a look. Because Stone Cold says so. But yeah, you got almost 300 megabytes of third-party assets on this, right? With the largest of them being about 27 megabytes. For those that weren't here earlier when I asked, how was your weekend? I think some of the house assets were taken down or removed. So not every asset uploaded to the workshop may have been uploaded by its original creator, right? And in some cases, some assets were uploaded, right? And they weren't necessarily uploaded by someone who owned them or properly attributed them if they could be shared. Like if they were a Creative Commons license, Some of them weren't properly attributed to the original creator. And as a result of which, they've been removed by Steam over time if the creator files a complaint. Also, if there's assets that have been uploaded that are definitely copyright infringement, like I've seen assets on the workshop that are like anime stuff, Disney stuff, and they get nuked pretty quick. Steam, anybody who uses the workshop or uploads an asset agrees to the terms and conditions of the workshop, right? And so if an asset is shared on the workshop and gets flagged by a user or by, a copyright holder, a license holder, then they'll delete it from the workshop and usually put a suspension on the creator temporarily. I know a creator in our community who uploaded lots of assets. One of theirs got flagged and they couldn't do anything on the workshop for like 30 days. Yes, Guafa, we've discussed that. Honestly, I put a report through for it just to see if anyone would care, but it is up to Steam to police it. People can report them, people can, and if it's bad, then they get removed. Luckily, though, it's not on us, because anyone who shares an asset, it's on the onus is on them legally to make sure they share something they own the rights to or can share through Creative Commons and properly attribute. So it's just something you got to be careful about. Like when you look at the asset on the workshop, right? When you look at anything on the workshop through the workshop browser, right? I believe my view is a little bit different because I have moderator controls, but I leave on this side, it'll say something like report, right? Like I have the ability to ban items, and if I get a report saying something about it, I can do something about it. I can also see private items. So like items you've uploaded, maps and assets that you've uploaded that are just yours, I can see them. Yeah, like if people, like I usually will like if someone's reported an asset that is definitely like copyright, I will definitely remove it, right? And as far as like I guess there's stuff with like a red cross on it violates stuff in the Geneva Convention. I didn't know that's even a thing for gaming. Like I don't know how that would affect the Geneva Convention per se, but I like it. By the way, if you misspell something and upload it to the workshop, if you just go through the workshop browser on Steam, you can actually edit your items a little bit easier on Steam. You can edit the title or description, add more images, right? Anyway. So tell us the story behind this city, Guafa. I'm assuming this is a place your players regularly visit. And it's really cool of you to have rebuilt it for them. Oh, that's crazy. But yeah, if Nintendo puts up a copyright notice for it, Steam will just take it down. You know what I mean? So it's on the creator and Steam there, which is lucky. It protects us in that regard as an indie developer, right? So you use the terrain tool here to make the roads, right? Very cool. Sorry, I'm reading chat and I'm reading this. I'm looking at this at the same time. Nice. Did you consider using the room tool to make the roads? Because I noticed your roads are like really uniform and clean. Mayor's house. Let's go. Is this it? Jeez. The mayor's got an estate. Back when the only person in town that had a pool was the mayor, right? Or like someone who owned like a big centralized business in the town. Big house up on the hill. This is cool. I like it. Let's look inside. Oh, that's smart, actually. So it's like really clean. It follows a track essentially. So what I would do instead, and this is just my personal preference. You don't have to do this. You don't have to follow in this, but this is a tip for anyone wanting to make like uniform roads for a city. That's actually the first I've heard of that, Guafa, and that's totally genius. But I would go into the room tool, select village, select alley, right? And then you go to settings for the room generation. I'm going to turn off objects, walls, windows, doors, and roofing. So it's just floors, right? Check this out. Oh, we're on the 3rd floor. Just going to show you a quick example. And if you want, you can round the edges like I did in parts like this. Kind of fun, so they're not as square. Anyway, but if you generate in the alley room type, the floors are always a road of some type, like a cobble or something. And then if you're not happy with it, you can always regenerate it or go into the flooring and then just change all floors. But usually I just click the room under the edit room tab and then regenerate it. But pretty much always it'll be a street of some sort. Typically it's like 3 or 4 different cobbles or flagstones. Jeez, it's been very focused on this one. Huh. Something's buggy. It's okay. If you go into the stonework in like, also natural's great too. The dark stamped earth is great for like dirt roads. Some of these dried earth, stamped earth, great for it. You can grab like these flagstones or any of these cobble and just paint them in. Anyway, just wanted to let you know. And let everyone know. So if you're looking to make roads, there's 2 options. You can use the terrain paints or you can use the room tool cleverly. You said there is an inn. Is this it right here? Oh, this one here. Ah, I like it. Good choice of wood too. This balcony dangling. You may want to put some supports. Unless it's cantilevered, I guess. I've been watching a lot of woodworking videos lately so I can learn more. Have a whole bunch of projects in the pipeline. Hey, Chim, how are you? Welcome back. How's your day going, friend? How was your weekend? Very nice. Guafa, you need banisters, my friend. If you go into the wall tool and then go to like fences, half walls, banisters are ideal for this, and then you can just do plus and then add it. I think a lot of people forget about them or don't notice they need them until OSHA Mac points them out. Did you do abstract lighting in this or street lighting anywhere? But that's really cool. Love that you used the rounded tavern. This is Swedish Cook's Tavern, isn't it? He was here earlier. I don't know if he's still here. Might be. So I usually will I have an order of operations for building. Lighting and FX are like the thing I do last, right? But I'll always do a walkthrough in my buildings as a token to see if there's anything that looks out of place. Yeah, same. I do lighting, like abstracts, building, street lighting, and effects very last. In fact, I usually do a save as version of the map to split it and put my effects on that version. So I have one with effects and one without. But yeah, it's nice to walk a city in first person to really get an idea of what the player perspective would be, right? That ship has such a large collider. It's really hard to get it. Dang, that's really close. It's always so fun to walk these streets. Lou, give me a beer. Fantastic. It's a lovely build. Oh, that's in the way there for walking. Very nice. So this is like kind of the central kind of first starter area for your world and campaign. Very cool, Guafa. Ugh. I got to get back to my build, unfortunately. But thank you for sharing this with us on the stream and on the workshop. I'm sure a lot of people could get use out of it because it's a great little platform for a city. And if they need specific areas or points of interest, they can just fill in the blanks, right? Okay, I need to add more plant life to the oasis. I'm going to put some more palms. Right? So I want it to feel green right around this water. Patch of grass there. Maybe some of these. Yeah, I like the palms mostly. Probably just have them in the grass is nice. And then I need some scaffolding here. I'm gonna sink it a little bit and kind of merge it into the side of this rock. And we'll kind of make it in tiers to get up here. And we'll just need some stairs, likely. Got some happy little scaffolding. Which stair do I want to use? These little ones here. Can even make that part of the platform. Bummer. I'm going to look at all the stairs I might use in this particular instance and decide which one I want to use. One thing I could potentially do is just have the stairs go directly up. Not waste time, shall we? Looks good. Then I could just put a little bit of scaffolding here, like a dock or something. Whoop. Beep. Platform. You know, let's use this one instead. It's bigger. A little bit larger. and matches that cobalt aesthetic I'm going for. Guess I could just put an extra bucket sitting here. Maybe. All right. That looks pretty good. One moment. Oh, excuse me. Thinking of just putting a little like walkway or like a cover here of some sort, like a little guardrail. The last thing you want is your guests falling in the water, you're getting it all dirty. Hmm. I'm in the zone. I'm gonna get as much building as I can until the end of the stream. Remember, if you have any questions, concerns, feedback, suggestions, let us know in chat, and I will do my best to address them. Looks pretty good. Oh. So I want like a little edge to the path that kind of defines it, right? And I'm trying to decide what would be the best option for that. These spikes kind of look neat. Something like this fence might be a good idea all along it, you know? I'm going to pull out a few options and we can kind of assess. I was also thinking stones, because we could grab like a wall like this, right? And just sink it, but the stones don't match. But these look like cool little pavers when they're alongside of the path, right? These would be pretty cool too, like the stumped. For a path, log barriers to look interesting. Hey, Chronicle Move, how you doing? Ooh. Nope. And none of these really stand out to me other than these wood ones. I could either do like a simple fence, like the woven fence, or these little just things down in the ground. Maybe something like this. So I'm building a map with a little bit of a story behind it. So every Monday I work on a map for our stream called Mapmaker Monday, right? And this particular build I've been working on every Monday for the past about month and a half or so. And I get about an hour or so of work in per week. And essentially it's a multi-story, it's like a multi-purpose general store, stables, tavern, and inn. And it's ran by a very, very crafty kobold who realized this was the only water source in this deep desert for like hundreds of miles. So he decided to set up shop here and start, running a business. People used to camp by this watering hole on their way through this desert to rest and refill their water before they head deeper in. But they would leave a bunch of refuse, trash, old, barrels and planks from, anything they didn't need to carry anymore, like, from barrels and crates and maybe a broken down wagon or a wheel or anything, refuse. And the kobold started making and crafting stuff out of it using the reclaimed wood. And over time, he built this sort of an empire. Hey, Kopi, how you doing? Been fun watching you stream. I was glad I was able to catch you this last time or the time before. So essentially, over the years, has built up this kind of a multi-purpose inn and store for travelers who come through. He sells the water. He sells campsites. He sells stabling. He sells goods, trades and sells goods, and even souvenirs. But this place is called the Last Drop Souvenir and General Store. There is a tavern and inn. You can get a warm meal and a bath and a good night's sleep. And then, of course, up top is his private bedroom. There's a little balcony. There's even a place to pull up water from the watering hole below to fill up a bath. Just a little bit of everything here. Kobold's a little guy, so using cranes to lift up goods wherever. Yeah, it's got a bit of a backstory behind it, but I kind of figured I wanted a place for traveling, a traveling party. If they're going through a desert, a nice little pit stop along the way, right? But the idea is we just kind of build up the map, and then when it's done, I'll share it with the community. So if anyone wants to use it for their campaigns, they can. I think I'm going to just build like a little barrier along the edges of this, kind of prevent people from trying to go into the water in other places. It also Kind of keeps people to the road. But I'm going to have this through the entire thing, I think. Might take me a while, but... Carpal tunnel's acting up. Very cool, very cool. So your Ravenloft build's coming along then? I need some more of these because these are taller, so I can go in places like this where it's like a little bit higher cut. So I'm going to need both types. The other ones I was using were quite short in comparison. But then it's like when you get up this high, you just kind of use the shorter ones. But if there's a nice steep grading, it's a good idea to use these other ones. I line up the post and then I'll just raise it up manually. And you can do this as long as collisions are disabled. Very cool. I'll have to drop in next stream and take a look at your progress. I always do my best to try and catch community member streams. You know, if I can, especially on my work days. If it's my off day, I'm usually out of office. I'm often hiking or walking or spending time with the family doing projects around the house. Honeydews, catching up on my other, you know, responsibilities in life. So it may be hard to get me in streams on off days. But other than that, though, I'm usually keen to tune into our community member streams and show my support. I think that looks really good. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Yes. Yes. So I'm going to do some campsites in here. And I was thinking of just like, you know, a little spot with like, it's kind of barricaded off with like these posts. And then there's like a campfire. So people can kind of just like parcel off their own little sections. I might even put like a little gate here. It's like I have access to get over here, but other people don't. I don't know. That looks pretty good though. I like it. Might even keep them up this high all the way around. They look really nice. I don't know. They definitely look like a good little, like, hey, this is the path. Stick to it. Oh man, I'm gonna be busy today. After stream, I'm gonna eat, right? But then after I eat, I'm gonna be got a little bit of work to wrap up for my work day, and then I'm going to be in the yard helping, finish setting up these garden beds. Got to drill some holes in them. Gonna burn them lightly to help seal them, and like give them, extra longevity. I'm going to probably seal it with linseed oil after, or scrape it with a wire brush and seal it with some linseed oil. Kind of wanted to just keep it a natural option because it's a garden bed, you know? I've got a D&D game this Sunday. I'm very excited. Very excited. Sad though, one of our players has to leave the group soon. In like 2 or 3 sessions, he's got to step away for about 6 months to a year. He met his wife online, and then would go to visit her and travel to go see her, and then they ended up getting married. And he has been trying to immigrate her here to the US. Now that they've been married, a little over a year, trying to get her a green card and stuff. And it's just like this whole process, and it costs a lot of money. And so he has been kind of just really, tightening his belt anywhere he can. And D&D is going to be something that takes the back seat for the next, year or so. He had to get a new car and has to move into a new place, so he has more room. And so it's just like a lot of stuff to take into account. But yeah, this Sunday there will be shenanigans. Hey Farva, what's that restaurant you like to go to? Shenanigans? Mondu, how you doing, buddy? Speaking of Mondu will be our guest on our next guest spot on the Damn Show. So this upcoming Damn Show is the Damn Challenge. And then on the 9th, we have Mondu as our guest. Hey, Crimble, how you doing? So, Morgana, these particular fences aren't really fences. They're roof borders that I'm making into fences. And no, they don't snap together, unfortunately, yet. The next update will come with a tool that helps speed this stuff up tremendously. But I also want it to follow a path that I drew by hand with the terrain tool. So some things just aren't going to be perfect, right? But yes, this is taking extra time because I'm making it very aligned. I don't know if you've noticed, but I go through and I line up these posts on the end here. So they overlap each other, which tends to give it a little bit better blending. Or I at least try to. And at the angle I was at, that was not doing what I thought. But see, when you do this, you overlap like at least one of the wooden posts. It kind of looks just a little bit better blended. Does that make sense? No worries. I appreciate the lurk. How you doing today, by the way? How are things for you? But luckily, because I have one to align to the other, it makes it pretty easy. I just kind of line up that last piece. Oh! My sciatica's flaring up. I swear, the longer I sit, the worse it gets. My D&D days are the absolute worst. I usually will have a stiff drink on those days to help with it. That looks really nice. Ah, very cool, Morgana. It's awesome. This definitely is a steep grade. Probably going to smooth this out a little bit. Make the brush larger and the strength small. Too much. Too much. There we go. By that rock, I'm gonna carve it back a bit, flatten it out on its top a bit. So I like to think that like he essentially has made this little area his little corner of paradise, right? But he wants to preserve the watering hole so it lasts as long as possible. People swimming in it, walking around in the environment ain't gonna help. So I think these little fences are A, keep people on the road so there's not other paths and roads popping up, and B, keep people out of the water or the area that is kind of his now. I wouldn't even call these fences. They're really short. They're more like, when you're walking in a path and there's stones along it, or something like that. I was going to do stones, but I thought laying all those stones one by one, even with a brush, would take forever. And I like this look. Just post hold, just tons of posts. Exactly. It really is a barrier, a barricade, even though it doesn't, it wouldn't necessarily prevent someone from stepping over it. It does mentally prevent them from doing it. And also a wagon wouldn't go over these, right? That would be silly. So at the end of the day, it will keep wagons on the road, help kind of guide people to certain areas. A path is a path, right? The real adventure was making all the psychological barriers along the way. That's funny. I guess to a kobold, these are quite high. These are definitely fence-like. I'm going to put an area over here to park some wagons too, so I'm going to clear this out. Probably need to smooth it. Let's use the object eraser. Then we'll use the terrain brush to kind of flatten this area here. Honestly, it's so random every time. Where you are, an avid map maker, an active member of our community, you'll probably be asked a lot about map making and your technique, right? Others, it's typically like this last stream, we had Belle from Fantasy Grounds, so a lot of the questions were obviously Fantasy Grounds related. DA science for sure. I think this is a big enough space. Now let's shorten this or make that a little bit larger there. Little place to pull in and park a wagon. Gotta flatten this out too. Hi, Lynn Lass. How are you? Welcome back. Oh, alrighty, everyone. Looks like it's time to wrap up the stream for today, which is, I feel like I didn't get much done today, but it's okay. I'm gonna get this path all the way to the edge here. Then we'll end the stream, to this edge at least. This is true. You know what? It's a stream is a good stream as long as we all had fun and we learned something. I just feel bad that this build is taking a little bit longer to finish because I know people are eager to get at it. But you know what? We'll be finishing it soon enough, and I think we have a clear path to finishing it next week. I just need to kind of barricade off some areas with these, you know, these wood poles. Set up an area over here for like wagons, and then yeah, finish off this path on the other side. I think this map will be done pretty much next week. Should be done by the end of next Monday stream. So when we're doing storytelling time for my session for my game next Sunday, we'll be working on and finishing this map. Sound good? Stop it, Jim. Stop it. Clearly, I just enjoy death. But yeah, real talk here. Jim loves to remind me about the cemetery any chance she gets. Honestly, user of the mind, I make more maps than I ever will use, and a lot of my maps are just catharsis, just for fun, to experiment, see if it's possible. I'll build a whole story behind a map that my players will never see or will never see the light of the day. That's another reason I love sharing them on the workshop, is because more often than not, like the maps I make on Mapmaker Monday don't get used in any kind of campaign. So I would love, you know, people using them in their own. I'm gonna bring up this ground here. By the way, anyone new here, if you enjoyed the stream today, make sure you hit that follow button on the stream so you can find us in the future when we go live. You usually get a notification or anything from Twitch. Additionally, we have resources for our community offline in places such as Discord or our wiki. Great place to get assistance. You can ask questions in our Discord or get support. Our wiki is 24 hours a day, and our Discord is also amazing because there's like over 35,000 members, and they're pretty much all DMs, GMs. So if you're kind of new to DMing, we have sections dedicated to chatting with other DMs. You can ask people questions, bounce ideas off of other people. You know, if you're making a stat block for homebrew, or you've made a map or an encounter, you can be like, hey, what do y'all think of this? You know, it's a great way to get your ideas, out there, see what other people think about them before you actually run it with your players. And considering the amount of people like in our server, there's easily just millennia of experience of GMs and DMs who are eager to help and provide insight and guidance towards your campaigns. Honestly, so many people in our GM chat talk about encounters and stat blocks. Like that comes up a lot. A lot. I love reading the chat there. I'll just kind of like lurk and read because I let GMs and DMs do their thing because they're far better than me at it. So, but honestly, it's so fun to read the chats in there and see what everyone's talking about and everyone helping each other, giving each other ideas and guidance. You know what I mean? I know it's very overwhelming to be a new DM. And so it's always nice to know that there's people out there that might have your back if you got questions. You know what I mean? By the way, User of the Mind, thank you for that follow. Much appreciated. We're excited to have you here and hope to see you more in the future. You're welcome back anytime, my friend. Hey, Chim, thank you for being here. We appreciate you dropping by. Yeah, we're going to wrap up the stream, everyone. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, whether you were actively chatting, actively lurking, whether it's your first stream or your 500th. Every one of you rock. Thank you for being here. Again, my name is Mac. I am the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is the map-making tool you see in front of you. It is available on Steam. There is a demo, so you can try it out before you buy it if you'd like, or Dungeon Alchemist is a one-time purchase for a lifetime license, which gives you access to the map-making tool in its early access state and any future updates from our development until we have delivered all our Kickstarter stretch goals and beyond. In addition to this, we have a major update, hopefully launching before the end of the summer, called Fun with Objects Part 2, which should include full object rotation, object grouping, and a bunch of other things. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Appreciate you all very, very much. We'll see you next time. I give a damn, all right? I'm going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad, and we're going to end the stream. Mac out. Bye. Let's pull up a neat angle of this over here. And we'll end the stream. Gonna save twice. Right? Thank you again, everyone, for being here. Back out. Bye.
But can it handle curves?
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 Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map-making application for role-playing games, now comes with both round and diagonal walls. Create amazing professional maps for your players in seconds. Get it now on the Steam store.
All right, everyone. Thank you for being here. We'll see you Saturday with the Dungeon Alchemist map making show. And then, of course, next Monday with Mapmaker Monday. Mac out. Bye.